Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is the conclusion for our Apocalypse Keys Cinefantastique series. This is the final bit to the mystery that we've been working on, and because we had a little bit of break, I'm going to be kind of going up and framing over exactly where we started from, what we've learned, and where we're at right now. So the basic premise is that they were called to the Saint Renata Seminary in Barcelona. There had been a series of deaths, killings, murders, question mark, in which the bodies in the immediate aftermath had essentially turned into flower petals. And there was a student who died. There was a scholar researching the history of the seminary who died. And then the third victim was a returner. And that's sort of the unusual thing about the seminary is that there is a care facility for persons who have been taken by unusual supernatural forces, taken to another world, spent time there, lived there, and then been dumped back or escaped back into our world. In the case of the victim who died, his sort of taker was a guy named Master Grimm, and he was the only survivor of a big group of people that were taken into this kind of game world thing. The other three other three takers for these returners are a figure named King Sebra, who took a woman named Augustinia Valle and her family to a kind of Narnia-esque world where they made them, supposed heroes, but in fact they were enforcing the rules of this King Sebra. Uh, Valle was killed a little bit later on in the investigation. There was a figure named Innocenti. This is the figure who took the Lane Prin to a kind of a world of eternal children, of eternal boyhood. And as Lane found their identity, they were kicked out of that. And then the last one is a figure known as Edes, who had taken one of the Petrali sisters to a world where she was treated very well and waited on and so on. Her sister, who has mixed feelings about all of this, as you discovered going along, managed to find her way there, rescue her sister, and bring her back to this world. Unfortunately, her rescued sister has kind of remained slightly catatonic since her return. In investigating the seminary, in looking through this, you have put together a number of keys. These relate to what we've kind of established as the four facets of the mystery. The one being quite a question about, what is the reason, nature, cause, all of that about these floral deaths. The second being because the returners asking, like, how does this fit with the returners? What's going on with the returners? What's the status of the returners? And then the last number three and four, kind of the common ones across all Apocalypse Keys mystery is like, who is the harbinger? Who is the figure who is behind this? You know, what's their representation in this world, or what's their name, or what's their purpose? All of those things. And then the door of power kind of represents a more general thing of like, what are they doing? Is there a place where they're trying to open this up at? What's going on with that? Uh, Over the course of this investigation, you have talked with the father who kind of oversees the returners, and that is Father Murata. His father was during, the Franco administration, was clearly a person involved with the supernatural and with monsters here, quite possibly utilizing them for Franco's own means, and even using the seminary to trap and bind them. You've also interacted with the chancellor, who seems a little freaked out by everything, Chancellor Solares. You had some brief time with the your contact in Barcelona, Natalie, who was kind of still off-site but present to be contacted there. The keys that you have uncovered uh, after the floral deaths, you uh, were able to get some seeds that were present afterwards, after these flowers were found, that kind of vibrate, that suggest some magical or unusual power to them. A carved figure in a wall that was kind of this is something that Wendell found in the tunnel, kind of crossing between the sections of the seminary where one of the bodies was found. It found a kind of overwritten with concrete, but we're able to pull it away, a carved figure carrying a noose, which has been a kind of recurring motif. In the safe that Father Murata had, they found a dissertation unpublished about how Franco's administration, how Franco's fascist Spain used monsters, people like yourselves, for various things, which had some details, some names, and things like that that tied into to other names that you had found. There was a zine, a report that gave you insight that the seminary had been used for other purposes. Specifically, in this case, it was talking about the seminary used to train exorcists, which indicated more of the secret history. A object that was found that you were able to use to get into some of the locked places was a set of ancient keys, but with a modern key fob on them, uh, relating to the idea that maybe the campus has changed, has been, disguised, written. You found some maps that indicate a difference between the campus now and how the campus was before, leading to some hidden rooms and things like that. There was a a letter that mentioned Lilith. This is a figure, an angel of retrieving the lost, that indicated that they may have some connection or attention or role in all of this. Then when you investigated the chambers, you found a set of broken padlocks with chains that were used to bind monsters, that they were kind of left behind. Uh, and then the last two things are a set of scales, balance scales, that kind of weighing of soul or sins or something, that sort of magical scale with a feather on one side, very sort of symbolic magical device, maybe used to contain, maybe used to trap, maybe to measure. And then a set of trading cards, kind of. Then you got this from Father Murata's, this is clearly his father saying that had on them the names of those takers and some other monsters on them. Like maybe these were used to organize, or maybe they were used to trap, or something. It's unclear exactly what those were about, but they're certainly from that time of containing these monsters in Franco's Spain. Some ticks of the clock have occurred, of the doomsday clock so far. There was a vision that one of you had of what this place was like during the Franco administration. There was a moment when there was a great blooming of plants and trees, and it kind of overwhelmed the campus. All the flowers, all the plants bloomed, fell, and then bloomed again. And then lastly, uh, the there was the tolling of the bells and the crashing of the bell in the cathedral with a song that seemed somewhat familiar. Any questions or anything anyone wants to add to that summary that I have given there?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of info. It's a lot of info that
Yeah,
you have put together
yeah, yeah.
over time. And I imagine that once again, we have the three of you. You recognize that there is kind of a timetable. Something is certainly happening. Back in that kind of common area of the returners, with the bad coffee maker and the snacks off to the side and the linoleum tables and the fluorescent lights because they haven't spent money to replace them with LED. So you're kind of there. You've talked to Father Murata. Murata is keeping an eye on the last three of the returners. Chancellor Solares is trying to kind of keep the public down. The book fair has been canceled, so there's definitely a feeling of tension uh, over the campus as a whole. Um, I just want to do a quick like check around. Um, Amanda, when we come in on this camera on this scene of the three of you gathered, what what do we see of you? Are you pacing? Are you sitting at the table? Do you seem anxious? Do you seem contemplative? Like, what do we see? How do we know what Amanda's or not know what Amanda's headspace is right now?
I think Amanda for now is sitting more or less quietly, looking at her hands. And but what gives it away that she's actually quite nervous is the fact that there are letters running through her hands and that they spell out the names of these people who are involved, the names of the returners, of the weird um uh takers is the word,
Mm-hmm.
and of Morada and Franco and some other names that are maybe unrelated or maybe not, who knows.
Absolutely. So we see those running, falling, changing on you. Uh, do you think that it's faster than before, or do you think they remain? Like, what's different with the letters than we've seen before?
They're recognizably Latin letters
Okay.
because before you couldn't actually read them, but these are mostly, not all of them, some of them are clearly Arabic letters which are clearly readable but
Mm-hmm.
not by maybe the American viewer. They, you know
Excellent. Uh, and Wendell, same question. Like, what do we see? What tells us where Wendell's head is at?
I think with the anticipation of we're so close to putting this together, to getting done with this, and also getting that what would have been his first proper meal in a long time getting snatched away from him. I think he's kind of just standing in the corner, just breathing, and occasionally little holes pop up and close as he breathes in his skin. Like he's not aware of it, but he's kind of becoming a sieve and closing up again.
Nice, nice. I like that. And Rosebud, what form are you taking now, and what do we see of Rosebud's behavior?
So initially, Rosebud was shifting between different presentations of um, either students, both male and female, at the school, and maybe some administrator dressed people. Um, but when Rosebud notices that Wendell, it appears to be deteriorating a little bit, maybe, or it's somehow, anyway, not as consistent in his presentation. Um, Rosebud actually stops playing around with forms And uh, probably just stares at a wall, not at Wendell, stares at a wall, like becomes an image that stares at a wall. Um, like Rosebud turns into a barista.
Okay.
And then there's the smell of coffee. And the barista is very specifically not looking at Wendell with the barista's eyes that
Okay.
aren't really real. So
All right. All right. I like that. Um, Before we go to the opening Doom store, I do want to check in with everyone. And I want to just see, and you may not, but I want to see if there's any moves that people have, things that they want to trigger. I know all of you have some wild things. Just want to give an opportunity on that. Amanda?
I mean, I think I have lots of stuff that I would love we could do, but given time, we
Sure.
probably won't, so it's fine.
Okay.
I will mark off some impulse maybe. Yeah, I think I will mark the reclaim a fragment of my memories
Okay.
because maybe I know something more than I'm aware of about these whole switching realities, which I by the way love.
Yeah.
So
Have you generated any darkness tokens? Is there
am I
anything?
generating
Yeah.
darkness? That's a good question. I have one. I feel frustrated or scared? I'm sure that I am doing that.
Okay.
Yes, I am very frustrated. And I'm also scared because what's going on?
Yeah.
What's the meaning of this? I have a suspicion, which might not be true, but it's an awful one. So
Uh, Wendell, is there anything, any moves, anything you want to trigger?
Not right now, no.
Okay. Okay. Have you generated any darkness tokens? 'Cause you're tapped out on those, it looks like right now.
Yeah, I am most of the time.
You've got a couple conditions marked.
Hmm. I am aiming this session to possibly get to use your ruin on my lips.
Hmm.
Uh, that's about as much as I have in
Okay.
mind.
Let's keep that in mind. And Rosebud, what about you?
um, ask me the question again because I blanked on it. I'm
Sure,
sorry.
absolutely. Do you have any moves
Oh,
that you want to
right.
trigger before we move forward? And then, you're at sort of topped up on your darkness tokens right now, but I just want to check and see if you would be generating any more.
No, I just actually just added two in
Okay.
because Rosebud is definitely furiously pondering.
Okay.
Um, let's see, any moves? Uh, hmm, not
Okay.
not at the
No, that's
moment.
that's fair. So we see the three of you there. Finally, that we know that this is the time to kind of talk through and figure out what how this works. So this is the opening Doom store. This is the mystery solving. We go a little bit meta as we do this, and the way that this works is we look at the mystery map, and in turn, we have each person choose one of the keys, and it can be a key that you found or a key that someone else found, and talk about what facet it's connected to and like what what role you think it has, what connection, what it tells you about what's going on here. And essentially, we're going to do that, letting everyone kind of build the picture. And I'll be popping in as we go through to kind of ask clarifying questions and tie things together here. And this is really, there's some brainstorming that goes on. If you want to ask and pull to the table, or put ideas out there and we try to pull them together. So, Amanda, I am going to start with you. Uh, what key do you want to start with? What facet does it connect to? And what do you think it's telling us about what's going on here?
Okay, so I think, well, I think the whole thing ties back to Franco, right? And what
Okay.
they did with the monsters back then. And Amanda has the sneaking suspicion that these takers might be the monsters they have been experimenting on.
Hey.
And that means, and that Lilith wants to kind of get them back to where they're supposed to be, right? So I think I will connect Lilith to the Harbinger.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do that.
That's
Let's see
perfect.
how that goes.
Uh, so we've seen that Lilith, we know that they are the angel of retrieving the lost. We know that they have some echoes of some of the symbology that we've seen, people taken and returned and so on. Uh, awesome. So that kind of sets up some of the things. Wendell, what key would you like to point to and what it tells us about what's going on?
Remind me exactly what a door of power is.
So the door power basically represents like, okay, where is this ritual happening? What is the place? Is the door a person? Is it a place? Is it a thing? It is the thing that the harbinger wants to open up to cause the apocalypse, to cause the destruction.
I think I'm gonna pin the door on the dissertation on monsters because the dissertation was found in the father's like safe, right?
Yes.
And I think he as a person is going to be since he's part of the line that like trapped these monsters.
Oh, nice. So Murata, like there is some, we've seen his father, there was a vision of him in the past, there's connections, like there is that line, the objects that you found connect up. He's the one who called these, chose which of these, returners were brought here, unconsciously or consciously. So he is the thing that the harbinger needs to change to affect. Okay. Oh, I like that very much. Um, Rosebud, what's the next key that we want to connect up?
Um, so, hmm, I think that, so while I think Lilith is associated with the Harbinger, I don't necessarily think Lilith is the Harbinger. And what I'm going to connect is the zine
Okay.
as training ground for exorcists. Um, and I'm going to connect it to what I connect it to the door. Um, Actually, that's a very interesting thought. I will connect it to the door of power.
Okay. So is this about, do you think it's about the connection between the seminary and Father Murata or something else? Like, what do you think that that zine, that exorcism, what is that telling us about the process that the harbinger needs to undertake?
So I think this is deeper and older than Father Murata. I think this is actually older than Franco. I think that this seminary has been in a process of interacting with monsters back into the Middle Ages.
Okay. I like that.
And
Yeah.
so I think I don't know who the Harbinger is, and maybe Lilith is the Harbinger, but I have this in my mind, the Lilith is more a symptom of the situation
Okay.
rather than the cause.
So what we do know is that Murata is about the door power, but the reason, the source, the purpose of that is much older than perhaps we originally thought. It's not just about the recent history, but about the longer history. We know that Lilith is involved. We've got this symbology, whether they are directly the harbinger or tangential to that, like that's an interesting thing. We know that they are key to the nature of the harbinger in some way. Now, what I want to say is that so we've done that first round. We're going to do this because we've got now another six keys to get through. One of the things would be is as I found when I've done the key thing, sometimes when we get to the later ones, we're kind of just refining stuff rather than adding big picture things on there. So don't feel bad about kind of going, well, if there's an obvious thing to throw it to that. Uh, uh, so want to give that as a heads up. But Amanda, we've got four of those keys marked
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
associated. What is the next one that you want to attach?
I think we need to figure out what the floral deaths have to do with anything that's going on, right? Because we haven't touched that yet.
Okay,
And for now, let me just paint the picture the way I see it. We
sure.
know Lilith is connected somehow to the Harbinger, even if she maybe not be the Harbinger. We know that the Door of Power is connected to Murata, even though it might go back far more to the into the past. What's been going on with the connection with the seminary and the monsters?
Mm-hmm.
We are I'm not entirely clear what the returners and the floor deaths have to do with something. So maybe one of those takers is connected to something like flowers, and maybe that's what the harbinger would kind of open up, right? I think the floral deaths surely have to be related to the vibrating seeds,
Okay.
but I can't really figure out what the connection here is with what we've got with the seminary and things like that, because that feels like the floral death are a symptom of the attack that's coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you
and
think it
maybe
has to do with the nature more of the harbinger or of the
no,
nature of those uh, um, takers that took, since we have very different natures to them. We have sort of the eternal child. We have the uh, figure who was, in love with the sister and took her to kind of a paradise place. We have very different kind of approaches. Do you think it's tied into one of those or something else?
maybe it's again tied to Lilith again because um maybe maybe whoever is maybe she's been roped into this or has been roped and caught because we have the chains, right?
Hmm.
Has been caught for centuries and has now starting to break free. And the Flora death are her way of saying, hey, yeah, okay, they're dead, but look how pretty that is. Maybe that's, well, yeah.
I like that there is a sense of escape and rebirth and growth that comes from Lilith, even though she is a harbinger, and it's being represented and released in the floral death, and then the doomsday clock that we had, where there was all the blooming, clearly again still centered on this area, but Lilith, who is about retrieving the loss of rebirth and so on, is tied in. I think that makes sense. Uh, Wendell. What key would you like to connect?
surprisingly for me, the refining part is much harder than the coming up with the thing in the first place part.
Hmm.
I think the maps of the campus,
Uh-huh.
that's probably going towards the Door of Power as well, in that this is probably where they first trapped those monsters, controlled them. So they'll have to be released from here too.
Okay. So the maps point you to where this trapping has occurred. The sense of whether these things are fully contained or if a part of them got out and kind of like this is the place. This is the spot that map, the anomaly there. It connects up with the seminary, so there's a lot of connections there. I think that makes perfect sense. So we kind of have a location, with a lot of symbolic weight there. Rosebud?
Hmm. I have a question,
Sure.
and this would make more sense in the context of a campaign,
Hmm.
but is it possible, for instance, in a campaign that a harbinger might not be the cause of, like they might be the tool in the action rather than um, the actual instigator of, an attempt
Yeah,
to,
we are defining this right now. Like we've established that Lilith is connected to the Harbinger.
yeah,
And they may well be the Harbinger, or they may be pushing something else to be the Harbinger, or some connection, or being driven by something else. Like we're figuring that out right now.
okay. Um, hmm.
I mean, I see an interesting world where there's something inside Father Murata that is behind all of this, that is driving this, even beyond like without his realization, or maybe with, I don't know.
Yeah. I am going to tie the broken padlocks and monster binding chains into the floral depths.
Okay. And what's the connection there? We know that these were used to kind of trap those takers or some part of those takers down below.
So I am conjecturing that the takers have been held in prison cells that are sort of miniature worlds by the exorcists. And those are the monsters that Franco pulled out to try and use as tools.
Ooh, okay.
And
That
I'm going
okay.
to tentatively, my thought is that maybe Lilith is somehow trying to put things back in the correct place.
So they were trapped, they were locked away, they were put in these other worlds, and while the padlocks and things have been broken, they're still kind of not right, still kind of not a not right world. These sort of broken, false parts, are probably where the returners were taken to, symptomatic of that. Okay, I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
that
think the returners themselves, when they first left, so not on the return, but when they first left, I think maybe um, they were there to provide. um, this is a fairly dark concept, but to provide food for
So they
the
were,
monsters.
it's not the returners were just randomly chosen. It's that something, the harbinger or the thing that's behind this, uh, or even the church or whatever fed these people to sustain these
Yes.
these monsters. Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
very
not that they were being literally physically eaten. It's more, for instance, like providing love or providing, you know,
right.
champions or whatever to keep the monsters empowered.
Okay. Uh, Amanda, coming back to you, we've got three keys left. We
Oh,
have
wow.
a picture kind of built up.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think, huh. So we think that that has to have happened recently. Something was kind of freed, right? We have these monsters who were taken by the Inquisition, I guess, and put into these miniature worlds as like they're out of the way there, and sometimes they will put people in there, so these monsters are keep being amused, right, and
Hmm.
won't try anything. But now somebody, and maybe that is actually Lilith, has said, okay, this is not a good state of the that this shouldn't be going on. This is bad,
Right.
right? And since this is the precursor to an apocalypse, no matter how noble or actually maybe even right, morally right, their intentions are, this will cause a lot of problems. Because I mean, yeah, freeing up some monsters from prisons that they have been in for thousands of years might not actually be very these monsters might not be like, oh well, it was just these bad guys and we'll leave everybody alone.
Okay.
But I think I will connect the ancient keys, because I think these were the keys to those prisons, right?
Okay.
They have been freed now, and I will connect this to the Harbinger.
Okay.
Let's connect that, because I think that was the Harbinger who got them out.
Okay. So the Harbinger has released them. We've got this tension with Lilith kind of being behind the scenes. Let's come to Wendell. We've got two keys left. This is where it often gets a little wonky. We figure out the connections here.
Mm, I think maybe the Saint trading cards is just how they keep track of how they captured those monsters.
Okay.
Like maybe
Uh,
you need to call on a particular saint for capturing a particular type of these beings.
so this I can see where that could connect up. Do you think to the four old deaths, or and how this all started, or do you think it connects up to the Harbinger? What do you want to connect?
Um,
Is it more about the person who's behind this than anything else, do you think?
I honestly don't know where to put that.
Okay. I think it's reasonable to put it in with the Harbinger, in that we've established that they have kind of been behind this, kind of active in this, uh, and that these trading cards were a device to control. They were part of the cachet from Murata's line that were about that. Uh, so I'm going to put that with the Harbinger. So Rosebud, this puts this last key, the balance scales, uh, in kind of your lap. Where do you think that fits in?
Um, so I've been asking myself the question, what might the Harbinger be trying to accomplish here? Because weirdly, Lilith is actually helping to put the monsters, and it's almost like Lilith is putting the monsters back in the prison, maybe. And I know, are we allowed to have conversation about this?
Yeah, you're absolutely allowed to discuss, like, if you want to pull the table, especially when we get to this point.
Yeah, so my question is, if there is an entity that is thinking about pulling these monsters out, but Lilith has been trying to put them back in, um, to prevent the apocalypse. Um, does that make any sense? What do people think?
I mean, someone, we have two forces here, right? We have someone who wants to get the monsters out, and it's probably the one who wants to cause the apocalypse, at least in this region. And then we have either Lilith is working against them, or it's Lilith who's doing that.
Yeah.
I guess
Right.
that's the catch,
Yeah, no, I
because
think that's a really good breakdown. Like it either Lilith is, you know, trying to break them out for better or worse and causing the problems, or there's another figure, and we've suggested that it's possibly Murata or some version of Murata or something that is kind of the harbinger that has been pushing the buttons. Um, uh, so Rosebud, what do you think?
Well, the reason I think Lilith is not the Harbinger is because Lilith has been trying to put the returners back into the prisons. Now, that doesn't mean that the monsters won't be available for the apocalypse sometime,
Hmm.
but it seems like it's returning it back to a stasis.
So that suggests that there has been, this process of over time of this place being associated with monsters. In Franco, Spain, the line of Murata was involved in trapping them, locking them away, using them for Franco's purposes. And that has kind of remained. We've had these objects like the cards and other things, the chains that have maintained that break. And then we know that Father Murata is the one that in the modern times has kind of hidden away some of the evidence about what happened before, and is the one who brought these returners here, after they got chewed up and escaped or spat out from these private worlds. Uh, so it does seem like we are pointing at Murata in some form,
Yeah,
like
I,
being
I
the
think I have an
nexus of
idea.
all of this. Okay.
So here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to associate the scales with the Harbinger
Okay.
because I think maybe that Father Murata is trying to um, clear his family of the blood that is on the family line because of his father's participation in Franco's things. So Father Murata is not trying to bring on the apocalypse, but what he doesn't realize is that by trying to rescue the returners, and maybe there are people at the school who are of the old guard who don't want this to happen, but he's trying to purify his soul and his family's soul
And
to
I think
and to
let me say I think that given what we've known about the door of power and what's going on here and stuff, I think the problem is that the solution that he's come to ends up being using powers to eliminate the very people he brought here to take care of. I think we've established that you know that is going on. Lilith is trying to save the monsters, save everyone, but kind of trapped in this loop there. All right. Uh, we have 8 keys on the table uh, uh, for the complexity, and then 2 extra ones. So what we're going to be doing is rolling to see what happens with a +2. Now, if you like, I will make the roll unless somebody feels strongly about rolling that.
You bear the
I
responsibility.
will bear the responsibility.
Go ahead. If it goes badly, we will all blame you.
Absolutely. I think that is perfectly fair. So that is going to leave us with an 8, which is perfect.
Yep.
So I think there's a, a montage, a realization that Tower Bell collapsed down. It's in the church. You've already established that there are places that are hidden away. You know that there are buried crypts. And I think that that points you to the fact that something is happening there. And I do think we cut to the church where we see it is cascading into several worlds when by the time that there like that is the process started is that he is trying to change and fix and repair things, and that's created a schism there. Uh, we can see that the surviving returners are tied up there, uh, and we can see that uh, there's something. Murata has clearly done something, and I think maybe you're getting the sense of the echo of the feel of Lilith herself. Like he has managed to bind with some version of those chains Lilith into this, and you can see that he is just starting to enact this cracking open of this space here to release everything and release nothing essentially through this apocalypse. So Amanda, what do we see of you when this scene occurs? We've got some innocence on stage. We've got Murata empowered by something, the old bloodline, the old techniques connected up with things. What do you think we want to start with you here, Amanda?
Um, mm, mm, mm. I think it's a little late to do you can hide your heart from me, right?
I
It
don't know.
should
We can
it
always try.
eh I don't see what it would. Oh, oh yeah, okay. I
Okay.
think I actually need to know their emotional state and their desires so I can change it with my ruin move.
Okay.
Cool. So
Uh,
I mean we need to get there first, right?
yeah. So that you are there, like right
Oh, we
now,
are there. Okay. We
and
found it.
with the 8 to 10, you've arrived on
Uh-huh.
the scene
Okay.
before Murata can harm people or before the door
Okay.
can be opened.
Cool.
You have this opportunity.
Cool. Okay. Huh. Wait a minute. I got a better idea.
Okay.
I will use the Man of a Thousand Faces, and I will take the form of Murata's father.
Okay. How many tokens do you want to spend?
I think two should be enough. I
Okay.
guess. Yeah. Oh, where's the dice roller? I should have.
Dice roller is
I should have
the
have it
safety
open, but I have
tools.
not
It's
done it.
right
Yeah,
right at the
there
top on
I
the
found
yellow
it. I
column
found
there.
it. I found it. Okay, and I need two dice.
How many tokens? Spending 2, you said?
Two, and I've got an 8.
Got an
So
8.
that is good. That means, wait a minute, not a thousand
So,
faces.
what are the two things you want?
Um, oh, you gain the memories and thoughts of whoever you look like. I mean, that seems interesting. And also, I think I want the shape and form to be. Do I need that to be stable? No, I don't. I think I look like one person who causes fear and easily intimidates others because I think that's what his father was like, right?
Absolutely. So, I think you do come in and you reach out and take that shape. And one of the things you realize is how split and divided Murata is. The Murata, you can feel the Murata that you've seen, that you've interacted with there, but there is another entity. There is a Murata, and I think you can feel how old it is, that it has passed down the lines. It is a Murata that stretches back to the medieval times, that has taken, it still thinks it's human. It still
Oh,
believes itself human, but it has taken a little bit of power from all the monsters over time, and it itself is monstrous. And it has passed down that family line. And it is kind of aware and driving there.
oh, okay.
But I do think that the body and sort of the surface mind is Father Murata. And when he sees his father, I think there's an absolute moment of him freezing, of that kind of terror, because he kind of knows he's doing something wrong, and there's his father, and
Mhm.
he freezes, even though the sort of the ancient Murata that's in him is pushing against that. Does that seem like a reasonable thing?
Yeah,
What are you
I mean,
saying?
I,
What do we see?
I think the older Murata also has memories of this Murata um hive mind thingy, right? And I think what he says is, what's his first name? Father Murata.
Oscar.
Oscar. Oscar, I taught you better. I thought you had learned better than that. With this utter disappointment and
Oh yeah.
disgust on his
And, and
face.
and there is that moment where he's looking and then like he has to look down. Like he can't. He breaks off from whatever ritual bit he was doing there, but you can feel that other thing pushing, pulling against him, summoning the power that he can. Um, Perhaps now looking at the returners that are secured there, like maybe killing one of them might help break this. But right now he is trapped in that psychic shock that you inflicted, Amanda. Wendell, what do we see you do?
So neither Cinna nor Wendell is actually particularly smart, so I kind of got lost in if we just kill Murata, does that do what we want? Or will that like make the tower fall?
You don't know.
You might free the Murata Uber mind, but I mean,
There's only one way to find out.
There is only one way to find out. I mean, a guy with that many secrets just piled on top of him, that much history lying behind his skin, that's gotta be delicious.
Okay.
I'm gonna crack open a warm one.
Okay. This is the gnawing edge of hunger.
Uh, yes.
Okay. Uh, so let's have you tell me how many darkness tokens you want to spend. Have you generated any before you come into this? Because you were at
Mm,
zero.
I don't think I've generated any.
So roll with plus zero.
Okay.
Oh, come on. Come on, Cinna.
I'm just the
That's not
best.
how you're supposed to be rolling. Uh, so you get to pick one from that list.
Uh, I once again forgotten what a hunger condition is. It's been a
So
long while
it's an
time.
additional condition that you can add to your list. Right now, you've got raging, lonely, and lustful, and it's essentially a new uh, uh, condition that you can mark, and it's another tick that you can hit for your hit points effectively.
Hmm. I think I'm just gonna patch up those like holes that keep appearing every time I breathe in or strain myself. And I'm just gonna regain some of my much wanted humanity. And I'm
I
gonna
think
clear lustful.
Yeah, and I think it is like there is a buffet of this figure that has been through the generations, has consumed bits and pieces of monsters over the years, not unlike yourself. And that self that's kind of being held by Amanda's working with Father Murata's like present mind. It was trying to figure out what to do next, and then suddenly you are drawing off bits. And I think we see a monstrous version, a shimmering image of a figure made up of shifting different people over the years and screaming as you begin to draw off memories, self, identity. It's a thing that clearly already had some issues of holding itself together, and it's delicious, Wendell. It's so good. Um, and like, how do we know that that sort of raging, that lustfulness that you had has been a little bit cleansed?
I think we seem like right his clothes and like adopt a more like proud academic stature rather than the kind of sleazy backyard intellectual look.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like it. Rosebud. So we've got the church, we have this center, we have the returners that are there. Somehow, Lilith, you're not sure exactly where they are, but they've been bound in all of this. We've got sort of the Father Murata that you know, sort of pinned by shame. But this other eternal Murata trying to break out to enact this ritual. So Rosebud, what do we see you do?
So two things. One, um, Rosebud has been watching as the uh, her teammates have stepped in and taken control of the situation. Um, After Wendell, like Wendell looks good. Wendell doesn't look so broken right at the moment. So Rosebud feels like maybe Wendell has actually handled the situation and Rosebud doesn't have to do something to um, help what Wendell is doing.
Okay.
So Rosebud is going to um, reach through. There's In Another Life is one of my moves. Actually, it's
Right.
the only one I've got marked at the moment. So, but this sort of works. Rosebud is going to reach through realities to connect with um, another manifestation of the crystal. Um, and Rosebud is going to sort of drift quickly as a vague sort of shimmering force up to the top of the church tower. And in the space where the bell was, Rosebud is going to try and pull that another companion shape into herself. And she's going to become the bell that holds the realities in place.
Ooh, interesting. So move wise, that feels like power through darkness because you're you're actually trying to do, use your supernatural powers. You're kind of shifting. I mean, you're using the framework of that main ability that you have, but you're using it to essentially lock this reality in place, right?
Yeah, yeah, she's sort of closing the door essentially,
Okay.
or they
Uh,
are closing the door.
Perfect. So, how many darkness tokens do you want to spend?
I'm gonna spend two. We'll
Okay,
just try and play it safe.
absolutely. Then go ahead and roll.
That's a oh, I forgot to, yeah. And that's 2d6.
Yep.
Two. Oh, perfect.
So that is an 8. Uh, I think that uh, you may. Uh, I think that the door, the cracking that had already like that, so the whatever shifting had started, like you, as you said, you become the bell. You become the fulcrum point again. You just assume that shape. And I think whatever wavering we've seen in this church, in this space, like it solidifies. It might not look like the church that we were in before, like that reality has shifted a little. It's slightly off, but the door itself is held in place by Rosebud. It is not opening right now. Murata needs to deal with you to be able to move forward with this plan. Um, so that is locked down. Amanda, we come back to you. You'll feel that change. I mean, you're very conscious of the shifting possibilities and
Mm,
realities, and
okay.
now
Yeah.
it kind of locks down. You will see that the information, the memories, the secrets are there's a kind of that draining that's happening from Wendell to the
Mm.
ancient Murata, and then the Oscar, the father that you know is probably now weeping. But it's still dangerous here. That figure still has some power. He clearly still has some measure of control over Lilith, some binding. And what do you want to do?
Um, I think maybe for now, these people are laid out, the returners are laid out like
Yeah, yeah. They
as
close by.
sacrifices. Okay, so I got telekinesis.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe go over there. I'm not going over there literally, but like change the gravity around them
Yeah.
and float them away gently so that
That
the whole sacrifice thingy is off.
power through darkness to
Yep.
remove them as a possibility from this ceremony.
Whoops. Sorry, I have lost my ear thingy. Okay, and I think that is defensive, right?
Yeah.
I'm not aggressive, so I can generate some darkness tokens here, and then I can spend 3 of them to get these people to
So,
safety.
do you think you're defensive? Let me ask you this, because this is an interesting question. Do you think it's about protecting yourself, protecting your friends, not wanting to hurt Father Murata? Or like, what do you think the defensive there, the darkness that you
I I
generate comes from?
I think the fact that I'm not getting into the fight right now and not risking myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because yeah, no, I'm doing the safe thing, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Because saving these people, that doesn't put me personally at risk, I think.
A-
I mean, let's see what the roll says.
Absolutely.
The roll says it's a 10, so fine.
Says it's a 10. So,
Damn.
uh, I think before the ancient Murata can kind of maybe get the body back under control, those returners, the two sisters, and that Lane, like you move them and they are out the door of the church. They are away from this, and there will be a roar from the ancient Murata. I think like you see it comes out, and I think that Father Murata is probably there's some blood coming out of his mouth as as the ancient Murata is pushing this body to its limits here, with now rage, rage at this. Um, Wendell,
Having taken in some of having gotten a taste here, I want to make just a complete loop of the flow of power. Like I'm consuming parts of him, but I also want to turn myself outward as I did before to open that portal and just envelop him.
okay, taking his identities, this form that he has, this self, you're trying to grab that. So what do you want to roll that uh, with
I'm
that?
looking at do harbingers dream of monsters like me?
Okay.
I'm
Um,
the real danger here.
all right. How many tokens do you want to spend?
Uh, I don't think I've generated any still.
Okay.
7.
7. So I think you are excited and that there is this possibility, there is this thing. And as you go to reach, as you reach out for this, Murata has already felt that pulling of memories and things like that. And I think there is a wrenching sound. And rather than you consuming him, he flings something at you, and you will feel him throw, and you will swallow Lilith.
That
Uh,
sounds bad.
and I think that there is a sudden rush of power. Mark a condition.
What do I mark for swallowing Lilith?
Essentially, that spirit self, this memories, the power of this angel, suddenly, overloading your circuits. Is it that you feel her loneliness? Is it that you feel her passions? Like what do you think it is?
I think her being like chained up, I think the loneliness is the first thing that hits.
Yeah. And I think we'll see you fall to your knees there. That hole, metaphorical and literal, now opening up wide in you, right? Um, Rosebud, you've kind of anchored this reality. You've seen that Amanda has gotten the returners out. You see Wendell reach out and then crash to the floor, and begin to empty him, like they become a vacuum, that's swallowing. And the ancient Murata is kind of like now moving the body, trying to come forward, probably to strike at Wendell with some powers. What do you want to do, Rosebud?
So bells are protections,
Mm-hmm.
and bells separate the realities. So Rosebud is going to self ring,
Okay.
and Rosebud is going to slowly start ringing, and the intention is to Rosebud is going to ring a tone that's um, about bringing the whole area slowly into a state of um, um, not not peace, so, sort of it, I'm trying to come up with a like catharsis. That's what
Okay.
Elizabeth is looking for. So the bell starts ringing, and the tone and tenor of the courtyard starts to shift from this everything is colliding and the hostility of the Murata spirit and Wendell has um, basically swallowed the angel of return and is dealing with all of that loneliness that the angel has and that Wendell has. And so I'm trying to um, basically move us towards going through the process of feeling grief and but letting that grief pass over everybody to sort of soothe the raging anger and sadness and stuff.
So I this feels like Unleash the Dark because you are kind of trying to, through this mechanism, in kind of enforce your will.
Um, okay. I mean, okay.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, if your intent is more to soothe Wendell than it is to try and stop Murata, we could certainly look at Reveal Your Heart for that.
Hmm. Let me hold on. Let me look at the basic moves real
Sure.
fast. Um,
I think while the condition is lonely, I think what Wendell is mostly feeling is panic
N-
as he can feel the loneliness like welling up inside. Oh God, I swallowed something bigger than myself.
Yeah.
right, right. That makes sense.
In part because Lilith is larger than you, and it wouldn't take much for Lilith to push you out of yourself.
Uh, let's see, part through the. I actually think this is more power through the darkness.
Okay, to do
And
what?
the reason
What's your goal?
yeah, the reason I think that is because
Well, let me ask you this. What is your intent? Like, what is it that you want to have happen?
so what I am trying, my intent is that I am lending energy in the situation to a peaceful outcome rather than the apocalypse.
So I think in that case, because you are trying to kind of stop and
Yeah.
affect Murata, I think we actually is Unleash the Dark. And
Okay.
when it says enforce your will, it doesn't have to be like a violent enforcement. You are trying to
Okay.
essentially move
Right.
him, change his state, change his make himself right with the world.
Yeah. So it's more external rather because power through the darkness is internal, I think, I guess was what you're saying.
Yeah, Power of the Darkness is if you were trying to like do something more like you've changed the physicality of the church. That was another thing. But here I mean you have somebody that you want to
Yeah.
feel what you want them to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So how many tokens do you want to spend for that?
Uh, I'm going to play it safe and just do two.
Okay.
We shall see what happens. Oh, ow.
Stinky.
So I think that as you emit that that sense of harmony, that sense, you're kind of ringing that bell,
Hmm.
that Murata self will shriek out, and that discordant song that we heard before
Yeah.
from the church bells and stuff, it celestial chorus kind of wise shrieks out that song, and it hits against yours and your tones will shatter. I want you to mark a darkness, and I want you to mark a condition. And I
Okay.
think we see you kind of fall down out of the bell tower
Oh,
as
okay.
that the you've already locked the place in place, so that has been done, but that sudden reverse pealing, that discordant note has struck you hard.
Yeah.
Amanda, Wendell's down, Rosebud has fallen, Murata is letting loose with this song, and you see straining against his body, and now is is singing in triumph.
Oh, I'm feeling definitely feeling scared now. I'm
Okay.
definitely feeling scared now. I'm feeling so scared. Oh my God. This is like, I mean, Rosebud's down, Wendell's down. It's me. It's me. Oh my no, hell. Okay, what am I gonna do now? Um, well, I think the emotional state of that NPC is kind of like triumphant, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, heart is such a fragile thing. Maybe I can touch them and alter that. Like I could maybe shift its target, like being maybe just triumphant about something far less significant. Like
Yeah.
yeah, or I could just try. They no, I what I will do is I will try to inflict my emotional state on him. Well, my emotional state right now is scared, okay, and defensive, but scared mostly.
So it feels to me like if we could, if this does feel like we're going to
Mhm.
be doing Unleash the Dark, but
No,
using,
this is a
I know what I'm saying is,
okay, yeah.
but you're using that move, the
Hmm.
marking the
Yeah.
ruin,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
buff that essentially, because you
Yeah.
are trying to
Hmm.
enforce your will
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
cause an effect. So let's do
Hmm.
it this way.
Hmm.
Let's have you mark that ruin.
Yeah.
We'll have you roll Unleash the Dark, but we'll give you an
Okay.
extra pick. Does that feel like
Okay.
a good
Yeah.
cascade of those
That
two
feels
moves?
great. I
Okay.
will use three of my darkness tokens because I really want to. I'm a little bit panicked, maybe.
Okay.
Let's go see how that goes. No, it doesn't go. It's a six, but wait a minute.
Bonds?
I need an eight, right? Oh,
Yes.
I only have one bond. So
Only have one bond.
no. So
Uh,
yeah.
so you are going to get a pick because you use that. You get a mark ruin.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
going to get a pick.
Yeah.
What pick do you want from the 8 to 10?
And it was like Unleash the Dark, right?
Yeah.
Ah.
Right now they have one condition marked of the ones you
Okay.
need to take
Okay.
them out.
Okay, I still think I will confuse them for some time. I think
Okay.
that's what I was aiming for, confusing them. So
But I
I
think
will
that as you do that, as you reach out, you will realize what that this Murata, he has caught people like you over the years. He is a collector of monsters like you, and he knows how to do that. And I think you will feel yourself mark a condition, and
okay.
you feel yourself suddenly, it feels like there are chains on you that drag you down to the floor. Even as he's confused, you feel, you know, and you're thank goodness he's confused, because if he had put his full attention on you, he could have locked you down. He could have locked you in another world away from this by yourself for as long as he wanted.
I
Um,
am removing my emotional response from the situation
okay.
because no, I don't want to feel that right now. I don't
Okay.
want to feel that right now. I am
A-
becoming unreachable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that triumphant cry is like it kind of stops and garbles as he loses the script, as he loses the song for a moment there. Wendell, what are you doing?
So I'm slowly blowing up by this angel being inside me. Uh, can I turn inward and ask her a question?
Sure.
while she is much larger than me, I feel like I have some form of control over her just having consumed her. I want to know really for sure, could she help us stop this if I let her out rather than try to quote unquote digest her?
Interesting. Let's have you reveal your heart.
Okay.
Has what has happened generated any darkness for you? Embodying a condition or anything of that sort?
I'm just really bad at generating them. I don't think so.
Yeah. I actually do think I mean you marked lonely, and I think you have embodied that. So if you want to generate darkness tokens off of that, that seems perfectly fair to me.
Sure. I'll generate four and I'll use two of them.
Okay.
Okay. There we go.
And that is a 9. So I think that you will reach to Lilith and Lilith reaches back and soothes that loneliness from you. And she says, I know that you and your friends can open other places. You need to do that and let me go, and I will take him away from here. But you have to be willing to give me up and all the power and secrets and history that could be yours.
Rattling it all off doesn't make it more likely.
My bargains are always made freely and with full knowledge.
Fine, fine, fine.
So what do we see? What do you say to the group? What do you as you kind of take control of this?
Uh, as far as I'm aware, is anyone else able to open up a different place?
You've seen Rosebud do it. You've seen Amanda kind of reach into other selves. Like there are aspects of what they can do that connect to other worlds.
Uh, in that case, I'm gonna like grab
Amanda, were you
onto.
going to say something? Hang on one second.
Yeah, I wanted to remind you of Project Hourglass.
Oh yeah,
Uh, what is that?
Means that I can look to shatter points and draw stuff from there. We did that before, you
yeah.
know.
But yeah. So you've definitely seen both Amanda and Rosebud do this kind of thing.
Uh, Rosebud was down, right?
Rosebud has fallen. I mean, not unconscious, but certainly was shaken by that song.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna reach out and like just barely stop myself from grabbing onto Amanda's shoulder. And I'm just gonna like open up a portal now.
So I think that cry will ring out. Um, Rosebud, what are you doing?
Um, so as Rosebud sort of tumbles as sort of a shiny, shimmery shape towards the ground, um, they will uh, have a new sense of purpose
Mm-hmm.
because Rosebud failed to hold the line,
Mm-hmm.
and Rosebud is going to tumble behind Murata
Okay.
and slowly manifests as a 14-foot high medieval door in the middle of the space.
Okay.
And then like it's I'll say it's well opens the door and through the other side it looks like the glittering of diamonds.
So let's have you. I think this is, I would imagine this is a two-part thing. Like you are doing the setup for this
Hmm.
dimensional thing,
Yeah,
setting up, and then we'll come to Amanda to do the hourglass to close the deal. But I do want you to roll this with power through darkness to extend your powers. Does that seem reasonable,
sure.
Rosebud? Okay. How many tokens are you spending?
I've got two, so I will spend two.
Okay.
Oh, uh-oh.
So
Oh no.
that is 11. Do you want to mark a condition to better control your powers?
It's actually 13 if I spend two tokens.
Oh, yeah.
So what am I marking?
You can mark a condition to keep control.
Oh,
What condition do you want to mark?
um, I'm going to mark tender, and I'll explain that depending on what happens.
Okay. But we do see you like Amanda, you see Rosebud start to form the shimmering outlines of this, but you can tell that Rosebud is kind of shaky. Um, Wendell has asked you to open a portal. What do we see you do?
I I I look at my darkness tokens before I do anything else.
Yes.
Um, well, I mean, no, I've got still got two. I can use them. And now let me check how this move works. Yeah, I've got to roll.
Yeah. And we'll
Okay.
modify the results based on like we've kind of got
Yeah.
this set up. So, but yeah, I
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah. Okay. So I will reach out to the portal that is there, which is very practical to have a portal there, right? And I will roll do my two tokens. And I've got a 7, I've got a 9. Yeah, that works. I
So
think.
that door is opened. We see Rosebud kind of hanging on there. Wendell has called out for this. And I think there are multiples of you,
Um,
Amanda.
yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, no, go on. Sorry.
Uh, what does the one that with Lilith, as Lilith comes out, emerges from Wendell, what is the one that grabs Murata and exiles themselves into this world look like? Like, how is it different? How do you know what this other version of yourself is?
Um, okay. So I think the other version of me has. Oh, yeah, of course. That is the version that had been caught by the Inquisition before, right?
Hmm.
And that knows how to deal with these Morados, or at least has experiences. They look furious. They look furious. The writing on their face or body is all Latin. It's all in Latin, and it's like sort of twists on biblical, I think, verses. And yeah, she looks absolutely like super furious. You haven't seen Amanda like that ever.
This image of Lilith emerges from Wendell. This self of yours appears, pushes through, pushing into the gate. Of course, there's the grabbing against the edges of the door as these things are pushing. Rosebud, you said like how do we see that tender condition marked there? What is it that tells us that?
Um, so as so to clarify, Amanda, a part of Amanda is
A
the
version of Amanda, another
okay.
version of Amanda. and this version of Lilith are pulling this Murata through this gate into another place,
Right.
door that you have
So
opened.
yeah,
So yeah, how do we see? You said that we would see what the tender condition marked. What does it look like?
right. So it may not be totally obvious yet. But the as Murata comes towards the open door, um, like one of the things that happens is there are flashes of light, sort of similar to just okay, flashes of light,
Uh,
and the there's a kind of joy to the door.
okay. So the world that you've opened up is more merciful than perhaps that more.
It's a little more complicated. I'll explain it later.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So Wendell, there is an emptying feeling when Lilith leaves you. All that possibility, all of that, but also a sense that you are loved.
Oh.
And this Lilith and Amanda pull Murata through this, and that door slams shut, and they're gone. And all of the kind of psychic pressure and energy and feeling of potential cracking here suddenly is just gone, like a switch turned off. And the harbinger is gone. The door of power is closed. And it's just just a church, kind of, with maybe the sounds of cars outside and birds and all of that. Um, Wendell, what do we see you doing right here in the immediate aftermath in this room? I want to give everybody a scene before we go to epilogues.
Right before the portal slammed shut, Wendell like tried to after Lilith had left him, he just tried to lunge back after her, but the portal slams in his face and he just lands flat on the ground and he just doesn't get up.
Okay. And Rosebud, what do we see you in, as this door slams shut, as this threat has been ended? What do you look like? What do we see?
So Rosebud's gone.
Don't see Rosebud anywhere. Look around, not anywhere. And Amanda, what do we see of you? Wendell's
Um,
there, kind of uh laying alive but still on the floor. Rosebud is nowhere to be seen.
I think Amanda is like trying to figure out what what just happened, basically, with the other version of herself. And where's Rosebud? And where are the I think she's a little overwhelmed by now.
Absolutely. I think the camera kind of pulls out. We get the drone shot kind of lifting up and out, and we're going to go to epilogues. Rosebud, what is the epilogue? What do we see of your character, like our post-credit scene or our end scene here for you in particular?
So you see Rosebud has the consciousness of Rosebud is now shattered into an infinite number of tiny selves
Mhm.
because the door that Rosebud opened was not a door to one place. Rosebud opened a door to all the places that Rosebud can connect to. So Murata and the Amanda that went through got scattered throughout the multiverse, along with Rosebud.
Mm-hmm. So a fragment, a montage of different pieces and slices. Wendell, what is the epilogue for you? What do we see of Wendell here in the future?
I think we see him trying to find out everything he can on Lilith. Anything anyone ever knew about that being, or anything like that being. Once he's learned anything, he goes on to learning everything about every single angel to try to get a fragment of that absolute feeling he had for just a moment with Lilith's promises.
Awesome. Awesome. That hunt, that quest, that hunger continuing. And what about for Amanda?
Um, I think Amanda remains fascinated by these little pocket dimensions because she's the feeling. I mean, she's not from this dimension precisely, so that might actually offer a hint where she came from. So I think she's staying in Barcelona at the seminary and looking through, I think, things and talking to the returners, and then we can see her sometime performing another ritual, not the one that led to the flower death, but another one, just to get into one of those dimensions and trying to figure out what happened there.
Excellent. Excellent. I like that we see those returner characters still alive, you interacting with them, and then your quest to move yourself forward. And that's the conclusion to our mystery. That is the wrap up. That is the door has been closed. That's the final bit for the Till We Have Faces. Uh, I would like to do just a quick, any kind of stars, anything you want to throw out here. I appreciate all of you being willing to come back after the break to finish this out. I like being able to get closure on this because I do think these are great characters and it was really interesting. And I want to say my stars. I appreciate like when we get into a big complex, like we got to fight and there's lots of things. I appreciate everybody willing to kind of go, okay, let's shift the move this way, and you were all flexible with me on that, and so I appreciate that. So Teal, anything you want to throw out? Stars, thoughts?
Um, I really, really enjoyed. By the time we got to here, I had absolute confidence that everybody, including you, Lowell, but would be congruent, fully in character, and the the shape of the story is so interesting because um, it's not anything I would have imagined
Mm-hmm.
coming into it, and yet it's so closely follows the articulations of the different participants. And it's thinking about other kinds of games where resolutions are often predictable in the sense that somebody plays a specific role or whatever. This is so unpredictable
Yeah.
and yet very, very satisfying. So I want to just scatter stars all around.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I love about that process of putting together the mystery is always super interesting for me as a GM because certainly I've been sitting here and thinking about all kinds of possibilities, and you never come up with exactly what I was thinking. Like it always goes in more fruitful ways that build on things that people have been thinking that echo the character's desires and point in a particular way. So I really appreciate that. Sabine?
Yeah, stars. First of all, to you for getting us to play this again. That was nice. I love it when we get to a finale, right? Because we've been spending some time with these characters, and I love Apocalypse Keys and the characters that we make up. So yeah, and stars to everybody else for just being their fantastic selves. I really love the way you structured the resolving the mystery move. That felt like yeah, we were getting somewhere. and we got somewhere, and that was immensely fun. And I loved I really loved Rosebud being like, yeah, I'm be the bell and holding the reality
Yeah, that was
together.
great.
That was great. And I also loved Wendell being like, oh, I'm gonna eat this. Oh wow, this is Lilith. That's a lot, but quite tasty. So ooh. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So yeah, thank you all
Awesome.
for this.
Awesome. And Cinna?
I am, as usual, very bad at Stars and Wishes.
That's why I always
Uh,
put you last, so you have a little more time to think. I know. I'm actually honestly terrible at them as well, so I sympathize. Some people write
yeah,
stuff down. I'm always amazed when people write stuff down for stars and wishes. I'm like, really? You're able to do that? Because my brain can't work that way. So
yeah, I can't even take notes. Yeah, I got nothing.
yeah, I want to say like I was really glad we were able to lean into some of the hunger theming there at the end, and I
Yeah,
love
I
the
love
way
that
you
you just
played
gave him
it.
a jawbreaker. That
Yes.
was
That was really good. Like I appreciate that because I thought that you did a great job in in giving us the feeling that that would have and embodying that. So that was very cool. Thank you all very much. I am going to stop the recording.